Hello, everyone, and welcome to our expert panel discussion on assessing and advocating. We are super excited that you are joining us. We kindly request your attention for a brief moment in the spirit of transparency and utmost respect for our community. We have some information we'd like you to read on this disclaimer screen. By taking a few moments to read through this disclaimer, you empower yourself with important information regarding the boundaries of our knowledge sharing environment. Please take just a moment to read through this slide also, and then together we're going to embark upon some exciting topics in early childhood education. So this panel of experts was created to provide real-world examples of two very important topics in early childhood education. The two topics we're going to discuss today are advocating and assessing your ELL students. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Jessica, if you'll go first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Perez Maqueda, and I am the biliteracy coach at a public charter elementary school called Dreamers Academy. We're located in Sarasota, Florida, and we offer a two-way immersion program where our students are exposed to two languages of instruction, and we use the 50-50 model, which means our students are learning the same standards for the state of Florida in both languages, either Spanish or English.
Laura?
I'm Laura Rowe, and I have been a classroom teacher since 2004. And currently, I am also an English language tutor through a website called Verbling. And so I work with adults and children all around the world, working on English language skills. And that has been a really incredible experience because it's not focusing on kids who are just speaking English in one other language, like get a wide variety of different skills and different languages and cultures that are spoken. So it has really been an eye-opening experience.
We love all this experience. So let me ask you first, how do you advocate for your ELL students with administration and other teachers?
So if you don't mind me going first, I would like to share what a culturally responsive administrator will look like, right? This is like what we want to see in our schools. That will be a person that identifies the need in the community. This is actually what happened with our school, Dreamers Academy. Our founder realized there's a great demand for serving our big Hispanic population. So she found a location where she could build this school from ground up to serve this community. So a culturally responsive administrator will identify the need to serve these students and would also understand the challenges that go with teaching students that have to face the difficulties of language barrier and how to adjust the instruction and put in place systems to support these students. So the administrator will identify, will address the challenges, and will put in place a team, building a very strong team that is highly qualified, properly trained to put in place those second language acquisition strategies to be able to differentiate addressing the language barrier. What a non-culturally responsive administrator may look like, and unfortunately we have a few of those, will be a person that is not open to truly accept the challenges that come with a second language acquisition or a second language learning. So a good way to address the need to be able to be responsive will be to bring the law first, right? So we have programs. In Florida, we have the ESOL program that is designed to serve English language learners in the public schools once they're identified. So we come up with a system, with a lesson, with a plan that is going to accommodate instruction and assessments based on the student's language proficiency. Another thing that maybe we could do when we're not receiving that welcoming of multicultural students in the school will be to create opportunities for professional development for the staff and really equip your teachers and paraprofessionals to best serve this population, and also to establish core systems that go all the way from kindergarten until middle school or high school to truly help development of the English language, for these students that speak another language in the home.
I like how you brought up the two different administrators, because as the teacher, you need to know which one am I working with here and what steps do I take? Thank you. Laura?
I think a big part of it is to recognize that you are the teacher and the administration, they don't know your students like you do. They kind of get the big data picture, the assessment data picture, but they're not in that classroom every day with you. So you kind of have to be like, well, this student has this background and has this, the data is showing this, but I know this about them. I know their family. I know in a small group, they can speak this way, but on a test, they're not going to respond, or on an assessment where they have a proctor that they haven't practiced with, if someone is giving them their accommodations, and they don't know that person, that student might not do as well. And you have to be that advocate and say, I know this student can do this, or this student needs assistance with this because I see them every day. And that administrator is getting that big data picture, or the teacher that sees them next year and is like, what is happening with this student? And I don't know what to do. And you can really be like, this is what worked in my classroom. This is how we can help. And knowing that if you're working together as a team with all of those teachers and administrators, you can really advance those students forward. And I think also that team mindset. I've gotten so much advice. Like if I have a student at the beginning of the year and I'm like, I just don't know what is happening with the student, to be able to go back to the team that worked with them last year and say, can I get help with this? And kind of acknowledge sometimes we don't know, and going back and getting that and kind of showing that you are willing to change your routines or your teaching style to assist that student will also help the administration know you are really here to advocate for those students, and that's what you're trying to do. So just recognizing that it's your student, you see them every day, you're going to work with them as a team, and administration gets that big picture, but they don't know the individual students and their needs, or sometimes they don't even know their goals or what exactly they are supposed to be working on. So being able to articulate that too, and knowing that plan for that student really well. It's so hard in that first week of school when you're so busy, but to really read through any documentation you get from the previous year or the previous school and kind of have that. So when you go to a meeting or when you're talking to someone, you can say, well, this is what I read. This is what I'm seeing. What can we do to assist the students?
That's so correct, because we know that the parent knows the child best, but we really know the child second best, right? Because we are with them every single day, all day long. So we have to advocate for that too. So this goes right into the next question. And Jessica, we'll let you go first. What advice do you have for new educators when it comes to assessing their ELL students?
So I will ask them to look at emerging bilinguals to be owners of something that it's an asset to the culture of the school and the culture of the classroom, and not being seen as a deficit. Some educators have a way to react to the challenges of having to interact with a student that does not share the same language as the teacher. So to look at it as an asset, number one, and I will say, the consent decree was designed to really support these students. This is the law. They're here, right? So how do we best serve these kids? And it will be to adjust our instruction to really meet the needs of these students. So when we're assessing our students, the first thing we're doing is we're identifying, right? Is there really a need for support because they're speaking a different home in the language? And how do we accommodate our daily instruction to make the instruction comprehensible, to provide comprehensive input, right? The point is they have to learn, right? And I feel that when we provide all these second language strategies in the classroom, we immediately have our students being engaged in what you want them to learn, right? So that engagement turns into a child or a student who is happy going to school. And as our principal from Dreamers Academy always says, Dr. Rodriguez, she always says, a happy child is a child that learns. And happy does not mean let's just have fun and let's just, simplify life for you. It's really how do we adjust and accommodate our daily instruction so it's meaningful to you. Do I need to speak the language of all my emerging bilinguals? No, but I can put in place strategies, with the use of visuals, and I can assess students in multiple ways. I can use the 4 language domains. I can do it by listening, by speaking, by reading, by writing. I can do portfolios. We can do interviews. We can create rubrics in the classroom. There's so many ways that we can help our emerging bilinguals to be able to demonstrate their abilities and their knowledge when the language of instruction is limited at that moment.
I love that. I was just expecting assessment, but you took it back to make the classroom a safe place in the first place so that they want to be there and they're safe and they can learn their material. I loved that.
Thank you.
Laura?
Your response really made me think of how much kids are assessed. I feel like in the classroom there's so much assessment, and kind of making that classroom a safe space and using that data that you get from those assessments, which is so valuable, to create those scaffolds to build up those students. I think for a new teacher, I would kind of say don't get overwhelmed by the amount of assessment that you're doing, because it can feel like a lot. It just feels kind of constant, but really to be able to use that data to create those lessons or that classroom where children want to come and want to be involved and assist and be learning, to really use that data. And I think it can be hard as a new teacher when you get that data and you have a lot of students who are maybe below where they should be. It can be easy to internalize that and be like, oh, I'm failing, but to kind of take that data and reflect on it and say, how can I improve, or where do I need the most improvement? How can I turn that lesson around when everyone I feel like we all have that one lesson where nobody got it. It was just a bad day, and you get that data back and you're like, oh no. And so to kind of take that as a way to say, this lesson didn't work. How can I revamp it so my students are more engaged, more into it, understand it better, and kind of take all that data that you're getting and use it to kind of inform your teaching, inform your classroom, and be able to turn those bad lessons around.
Yes.
You just said kind of made me think that, that it's so important for new teachers to truly believe that you're not alone when you are supporting your students. And it's so important to work around a team that helps each other. And there's a misconception when we're serving English language learners that we have to do more work. Accommodating is more work, adding visuals is more work. And I think that shift in how you look at things, and instead of saying it's more work, we need to start saying it's better work. And when we do better work, we have a greater impact and our students are more prepared. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a better skilled, better equipped community. Those kids are here to stay and to be part of our community. So when we together share our struggles, you were mentioning the data, you go ahead with this beautiful lesson plan, and then for whatever reason does not work that day, it's so important to share that with your team, brainstorm, and to share some of the workload that comes with supporting English language learners in the classroom, but not seeing it as more work, but better work.
So that is exactly right. And both of the things that you said have a growth mindset with them, right? And so we talk about that some in our program. So having a growth mindset's important. And back to Laura, what you were saying is that we assess all day long, a lot of times without even knowing we're assessing a student, right? And I tell my students that all the time. You're assessing every minute of every single day without even knowing it. So we do assess students all day long, but it's for the better and it helps us do the good work. So this panel was amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate you.